we are the ones who live. Hey guys! In this episode of Plummy's Thought Zone, as you can see by the title, I am going to be sharing my thoughts on the final episode of what is debatably now my favorite show ever, The Walking Dead. And I say debatably because it's kind of a shared first spot with Doctor Who. I love both universes quite a lot, but I think with some of the issues Doctor Who has had in the last couple of years, The Walking Dead and its universe has definitely taken that spot for me. And boy, where do I even start with this episode? There's just so much to talk about when it comes to this episode. And I honestly don't even know where to start. Because, I mean, the state that I have been in ever since I woke up this morning to watch the episode, it's just been this weird state of grief and not wanting for the experience to end, if that makes any sense. It feels so surreal that this show is over, because I've been watching it for the last like 6-7 years, and yes, I kind of almost stopped watching during season 8. I still kind of kept up with it. I just didn't really watch it as the episodes were airing. I was just kind of still keeping up with it, but I've been watching it ever since the second half of season 6 started. So basically I've been here for the second half of the show's run, and I can't believe it's over. I don't want it to be over. And like, basically the way I'm feeling right now is very much how I felt when World Beyond, the spin-off of The Walking Dead, ended. And in this case, it's so much worse, like it's so much heavier than that. Because for World Beyond, I didn't realize, I guess, how much I was into the characters and into the story until it was gonna be ending and everything. Because, like, it hit me like a brick when it ended that, wow, I actually feel sad that it's ending. But with The Walking Dead, I knew it was gonna be sad from the get-go. Like, in the week where we didn't have the episode early on AMC Plus, we had the making of the final season of The Walking Dead documentary kind of thing. And I chose not to watch it because I saw snippets of it on YouTube, and I just knew that if I watched it, I would cry. Like, I didn't want to let the thought of The Walking Dead ending, I just didn't want to accept it. Like, I certainly had already started with the 5 stages of grief. I certainly was. Like, I guess I'm still kind of, I think I'm moving into the bargaining stage, but I definitely have been in the denial stage ever since that documentary dropped in the week where we didn't have an episode. And today has been such a day of denial and bargaining. Like, my whole day went to shit. Like, I had plans for today to edit some videos. I have to pack my shit because I'm gonna be moving to the other place that my parents live at. And I haven't packed absolutely anything because the whole day, all I've been doing is watching people's reaction to the final episode, because I just don't want it to end. I just don't want to accept the fact that it's over. As long as I keep watching reactions, it's not over, right? Wrong. But yeah, man, it was such an experience. Like, I haven't felt this level of emotion watching a TV series. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. Like, I've watched TV series end before, but this is like the first time in quite a long time, like in this version of me, with the person that I am today, this is the first time that I've experienced like an actual show that I am in love with so much ending. Like, sure, we had it, like I said, a little bit with World Beyond, but in that case, I wasn't as into it as I was for The Walking Dead, and I didn't have 6 years, or 6 or 7 years, of watching the show to carry, to impact me emotionally this much. Like, I didn't have the weight of 6 years of watching when it came to World Beyond, and even then I felt it. But now with The Walking Dead ending, and yes, we have the spin-offs and everything, but it's still the end of the main show. Yeah, it really weighed on me, and I mean, right off the bat, I was already on the verge of crying. I got into this episode knowing that I was gonna fucking cry, and I still am shocked at how much I actually fucking cried. Because I think I actually genuinely cried throughout the whole episode. Like, I honestly wish I recorded my a reaction to it. I was contemplating just recording a video just in case, because it wasn't gonna be like of the quality that my typical reactions are at, because as I was watching the episode, I was eating, or was supposed to be eating. So it was gonna be a shit video, just kind of recording what I experienced, like my reactions, literally. But I, at the end, decided against it because, I mean, I just wanted to get into the episode, and I didn't want to kind of ruin the intimate experience like that, in that case. Because, as I've said before, at some point in the future, I will be covering The Walking Dead on the channel. Like, I will be doing reactions to it in the future when a significant amount of time, or a decent amount of time, has passed to the point where I've at least forgotten some smaller moments. So there's at least some level of shock and surprise that could be experienced by me reacting to it. Because I've wanted to cover it in terms of reviews before, but since reviews don't really get any views, let alone any money, I've decided that I'm going to have to do reactions. So yeah, we'll be doing that in the future. But so you will eventually, years down the line, see my reaction. Literally, but it was basically just me crying throughout the whole episode. And it's specifically, the wild thing about it is that it's specifically the type of crying where you just cannot stop. Like, it's not, this is the first time, even including shows that I've been covering in my actual reaction series, like Fullmetal Alchemist, at the end of which I cried a lot, and Ghost Whisperer, at the end of season 1 of which I cried a lot. This is the first time, even including those things, where I've actually couldn't stop crying as I was watching the episode. Like, it wasn't even, oh, I'm sad, I'm tearing up. No, I was genuinely fucking bawling my eyes out. Like, in my life, the last time I cried this much, and I couldn't stop crying, was back in 2020 when I was supposedly going to university, so I was moving halfway across the country, and I thought I was never going to be coming back to my hometown and never going to really come back to live where I am right now, but plans fell through and everything. And then I cried because I thought my life changed. Like, I was officially an adult, and I was going to be moving away, and I was going to be living on my own and everything, and I was going to be moving away from my grandparents, my parents, with whom I've lived for all my life until that point. And I couldn't stop crying back then, and that's the kind of emotion I felt watching this episode. I just couldn't stop crying. It didn't help that everybody in the fucking episode was crying too, and the acting in those crying moments, like, goddamn. Like, how can I not fucking cry my eyes out when I see Magna, Yumiko, Connie, and Kelly delivering Andrew Lincoln snot on his face level acting in Luke's death scene. Like, how can I not cry there? But yeah, like I said, right off the bat, I was getting into this episode with the thought that I will cry, because the emotional weight of watching this show for 6 years and it ending just was weighing in on me way before I started it. And part of me didn't want to start it because I knew, like I said, once I started it, it's over. And sure, we have the spin-off, so we're still gonna get the characters, but it's not gonna be the same. So yeah, I don't know. And the episode right off the bat hit us with the fucking feels. Like, the deaths in this episode, even though they're not many, dare I say maybe they're a little too few. I could have definitely done with at least 1 or 2 more deaths. Were fucking magnificent. Might be some of my favorite, if not my favorite deaths in The Walking Dead ever. And it's kind of wild because the characters that got those deaths weren't like my favorite or anything. Like, Luke wasn't anywhere near like my top characters. Like, I enjoy him, he's a fun character, but we've barely seen him for quite a long time. And yet, I bawled my eyes out at his death because the actresses surrounding him, and Dan Fogler himself, the actor who played Luke, were killing it during that scene. Like, the crying felt so real. Like, the deaths felt a little too real, dare I say. A little too real with the way they were done. Like, the emotion... I very much think that the fact that this was the final episode of the show was one of the biggest reasons why those deaths hit as hard as they do. Because the emotion of this show ending, combined with the emotion of the acting and the fact that the characters are dying, just created a perfect storm of emotion. And I love it. I love it. Like, the acting in that scene, like, it felt genuinely like fucking... Dan Fogler was fucking dying in that scene. Like, that was so real. So genuine. It reminded me of when I was a kid and when I lost my great-grandmother. She died of old age. But that still didn't change the fact that it was the first time I dealt with death. And it deeply hurt me when I was a kid. I couldn't stop crying. And it reminded me of that, with the way they were crying and wailing, and it was brutal. It was brutal, man. But I loved it so damn much. And we're gonna get to the other character death, but yeah. I'm just trying to kind of get my thoughts in order because there's so much to talk about. And I'm probably going to still end up making another video in a week or so once time has passed, if I have anything that I have forgotten to talk about or have something new to say. It's very likely that I'll do another video for one reason or another. Maybe I'll want to do a video talking about some of the spin-off stuff, you know? But yeah. It was some heavy shit. But I loved it. This is the kind of Walking Dead that I fucking love and fucking miss. Like, one of the reasons why I love The Walking Dead so much is because it makes me love these characters so fucking much. And I love when it makes me hurt for those same characters. Like, in a way, this whole episode was like a giant fucking circle jerk about all the people that we've lost over the course of the series. Every time we kind of, like, were focusing on the deaths of everybody are kind of my favorite parts of the episode, you know? Like, Luke's death, Rosita's death, and then at the end, during the big reveal that we get, when we had that little montage of everybody, every main character that we've had, it just hits me, man. It just hits me. It hits me right in the emotional spot, and I love it. I love that feeling. That's why I love The Walking Dead, because it makes me love these characters, and then it makes me feel agonizing pain when they die, and I love it. I love it. It's so good. And yeah, like I said, I feel like I could have gotten, we could have gotten like maybe 1-2 more deaths. But on the other hand, I also think that maybe having a little bit too many deaths could be an issue on its own, because one of the reasons why I think these 2 deaths of major characters work as well as they do is because it's only 2, you know? I feel like if you have maybe 4 or 5, it's kind of gonna dilute the impact of each one of them. It's like how having Glenn die right after Abraham in the same episode kind of overshadows his death. Or in this episode, how Luke's death overshadows Juice's death. And Rosita's death doesn't really overshadow Luke's death, but, you know, she's definitely the more impactful death in the episode. But yeah, man. I know, I've not even really brought up the plot of this episode. Honestly, we're just gonna go through the notes. I found that approach of doing these reviews far better, like going through the notes and covering the plot like that after getting my feelings out of the way first. But man, this was such an emotional experience, and I've loved seeing everybody's reactions to this episode. It's been great, and I can't wait to see even some of the other ones, because so far most of my favorite reaction channels haven't yet uploaded their reactions, so I'm still excited for quite a few of them. But man, this was fucking emotional. I don't think I felt this level of emotion for The Walking Dead. Like, the last time I felt comparable level of emotion could be the bike scene, although I don't think it was as intense or as continuous as it was for this episode, because like I said, I cried throughout the whole damn episode. Then there's the final episode of Rick, in which I cried when Rick died, when he blew himself up on the bridge. Then before that, I cried when Carol died. That was pretty hurtful. But before that, since it was when I binged the show, I don't remember how I felt about specific deaths so far back. But I don't think this might be like the most emotional I've been watching The Walking Dead, which makes sense because it is the final episode. But man, that was some heavy shit. It was a great experience. I honestly really loved it. And I love that it wasn't just sadness that caused me tears in this episode. It was also just kind of the, I guess, bittersweet nature of it all. I love bittersweet endings. I feel like that's my favorite thing, because with bittersweet, you both get sadness and you kind of get a happiness to it. And yeah, in this episode we lost Luke and Rosita, but then everybody that survived got a happy ending, and they rebuilt everything, and everybody's living happy and free and is living nice, and it feels great. It feels great. Which, by the way, kind of brings me to something that I think I'm gonna end up talking about in this video, and that is some of the reactions that people have had on like Reddit when it comes to this episode, whether it's a good ending for the series or not. Because like, some people have fucking complained that it's an open-ended ending. Like, I don't understand how can you have that kind of criticism. Like, what kind of ending could you do for something like The Walking Dead that is close-ended? Like, there's only like 2 possible endings you can do in the Walking Dead universe that are closed and not left with anything that could be done afterwards. One, you can kill everybody and have the walkers win. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, that is what the original ending for the comic book was supposed to be, very in the early days of the making of it, according to Robert Kirkman. That was way before he even, I think, created, like, the Saviors or whatever. He actually conjured up an ending where, after the group arrives at Alexandria, some of the events, like, still happen, then Rick makes a speech, then it changes to a shot of a statue of Rick, and then you see the walkers just roaming around Alexandria decades later after everybody has died. It's a bleak ending, and it could be a cool ending, to be honest. I wouldn't be against it. I feel like that probably would have made The Walking Dead an overall better story, because it would be more tightly written. But there is no harm in doing an open-ended ending like this. And the only other closed ending that you can do is a Cure storyline, which I'm so fucking sick and tired of hearing about. No, we're not gonna get a fucking Cure storyline in The Walking Dead. We're not gonna cure the zombies, so stop fucking asking for it. I don't understand. Like, what language does it need to be explained to people that The Walking Dead is not about the zombies? It's not about a cure. It's basically just a post-apocalyptic drama with zombies. They're just a threat. They're not the focus. They are just a threat. It wouldn't be any different show if the threat was fucking wild animals, dinosaurs, aliens, whatever it may be. It would have still been the same, because the focus is not the zombies. So stop asking for a dumb cure. So when you consider that those are the realistically only two closed endings you could have done, like, it works as a fine open ending. And it's actually far more close of an ending than I thought it was gonna be, but we're gonna get there. Yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna rant even more on some of the dumbest criticisms that I read about the episode in a little bit. Right now, we're gonna get through my notes when it comes to this episode, so I can cover a lot of the scenes more in depth. Even just, like, talking about it and thinking about it, it still fucking hurts me that The Walking Dead is over. And it's probably still not, like, fully weighed on me. 100% tomorrow or the day after that, I am gonna be so fucking depressed. Because I 100% was after World Beyond was over. Even after just fucking replaying the Telltale games early on in the year, I was fucking depressed. So yeah, that is something that is gonna happen. But yeah, let's get into the notes. So the first thing that I wrote down is "Go Clementine," and that is in reference to the opening scene when after Daryl gets knocked out by the Commonwealth soldiers after taking Judith to the hospital, she kind of has to, like, lock everything up so the walkers don't get in. And it's just the way that it was shot, and with Judith doing everything and trying to prevent the walkers from getting in, just reminded me a lot of Clementine and the Telltale games. So I really liked that scene quite a lot. Next thing I've written is, "That's a freaky walker," and that is in reference to the walker that Judith was dealing with in that whole situation, which was a freaky looking one. Like, it had a freaky face. And I'm pretty sure it was confirmed that that walker was a variant, so there's that as well. Next thing I've written is, "R.I.P. Jules, R.I.P. Luke?" with a question mark. And yeah, it felt like he was probably gonna die at that moment, and then considering the next thing that I wrote down was, "Man, this is so well acted." That is in relation to Luke's death, which, like I said earlier, was beautifully, beautifully acted. This was the best acted fucking death reaction I think we've ever had in The Walking Dead. Like, we've had, like, Andrea crying over her sister, but like this was on another level. Like I said, it had the feel of that one scene in the season 7 premiere when Negan is threatening Rick with cutting off Carol's arm, and you can see the snot bubble on Andrew Lincoln's face. Like, that's some good shit when it comes to acting, and you can very much have see the same thing with the girls around Luke crying over him with all the bodily fluids and everything. Like, that kind of just added real fucking realism that just made the scene a little too real. Honestly, a little too real. And in a year where I feel like we've all seen a lot of footage of actual human suffering and people losing their loved ones, and some of us have heard directly from people about that experience, and maybe some of you guys watching this video have actually experienced something like that. It just hit that closer, you know? Because I don't want to directly bring it up as a way to like praise The Walking Dead or whatever, but I've seen some really heartbreaking stuff out of the war in Ukraine, and damn if this did not hit very close to that. But that's why it was so good. It was so realistically acted, and I loved it. The next thing I've written down is she's gonna have Daryl's blood in her, which is in relation to the fact that Daryl decided to give Judith blood transfusion because she was losing a lot of blood, and it's kind of a cool. I don't think it's gonna matter much unless Daryl turns out to be the fucking immune or whatever. Could be Chekhov's blood at the end, but it's cool that there's a little bit of him in Judith now. I do really like that detail. Next thing I've written down is, oh my god, look at that gore. And that is in relation to a couple of shots that we got when Rosita, Eugene, and Gabriel went to the children's place to get Coco. Like, there was like a shot of a gnawed on arm, and that was just so gory. Jesus Christ, it was so gory. I fucking loved it though. It was so good. I was just shocked how gory it was. Because it was just an arm that was just like with bite marks all over it and missing pieces. And you can see where the teeth had cut off flesh. Like, it was so good. I loved it. Next thing I've written down is, he locked her just like Rick was locked. That is in relation to the scene where Daryl is kind of forced to lock Judith in a hospital room, just like how Shane had to lock Rick in one, down to the bed being put in front of the door and everything. That was a cool reference. We've had actually quite a few references in this episode, like I think a little bit later, like a couple minutes later, there's one scene with like a walker with a rock breaking a glass, just like in season 1. And there's quite a few that I don't really remember all of to bring up, but I'm sure you guys have watched people's reactions. You know all of the callbacks that others have brought up, so I'm not gonna waste my time trying to think of all of them. Next thing I've written down is, seems like a waste of a fuck. And that is in reference to the scene where Rosita, Gabriel, and Eugene are stuck in like an ambulance or something, and Rosita has an F-bomb there. And I assumed, because it kind of felt like weak for the final episode especially, that that was not gonna be the only fuck. And I was correct. We later on got another one at least. And maybe there's some that I just didn't really notice. But that was a one moment where I thought we were going to get more. And also, by the way, I've not written it down, but I do want to say how much I love the scene where Rosita goes to save her child. Like, it was so well shot, like, the action is so well choreographed. And I love her mama bear behavior. They're like wanting to go and protect her child. Like, that was so good. I loved it. It was great. Next thing I've written down is Walker's fucking everywhere, and that is just in reference to that whole scene with like the walkers everywhere and the music being so tense, and me being worried about which one of them is going to die, because we knew that one of them was gonna die, because come on. And then you have Rosita falling in the pit of walkers there after not being able to climb. Like, I actually was shocked. I was shocked that they actually had her drop with the baby. I thought that they maybe would be doing like a comic book lore kind of situation, but they didn't. I still really liked it, but damn, I was shocked. And even the next thing that I've written pretty much shows that, with the note being, no, did she get bit? Which we know the answer of. Next thing I've written is, wow, a sorry. And that is in reference to the scene where Negan finally apologizes to Maggie directly and sincerely about killing Glenn, and showing that he really, really regrets it. That was a pretty beautiful scene. I really, really enjoyed that. Then the next thing I've written is, I saw that tear, as Eugene said that she... no. The next thing I've written is, I saw that tear as Eugene said that. She is so bitten. That is in reference to the scene where it's just a little bit more chill, and Rosita is sitting with her daughter, and Eugene comes over to her and talks about how he can't wait for the summer to come so Rosita can take Coco and teach her how to swim. And I just love how, as he was saying that, you can see the tear coming down Rosita's face. Like, it's so subtle and so beautiful. And there's a lot of show don't tell in this episode that I really, really like. And I just really loved in that scene how that was shown, because it just told me, yes, she was bitten. Without spelling it out, it told me, or it showed me that she was bitten, just seeing the tear down her face. It was so good! I just cannot fucking put it in words enough how fucking good that was, and how happy I was that it was done in this manner. And I just love Christian Serratos' whole performance. From that point onwards, like, her death and her emotions as she is dying were so well portrayed and so beautiful and so nice. Like, that made the whole episode feel like a fucking funeral. Like, I was at a relative's funeral, which in a way I was, because The Walking Dead means a lot to me, and so do the characters. Yeah, that was really beautiful, and I love the whole, all of the reactions there, all the facial expressions, with how much they convey with so little words. From her just looking at Eugene just being so ready to break down. And even as I'm saying that, I feel the fucking thing in my throat making me want to cry already, once again. Just thinking about the face that Eugene makes about being ready to break down with crying, and how Rosita tells him not to do that because she doesn't want the others to find out yet that she is bitten. And the way she comforts him by saying that she is still here and that they love each other, in the sense that they all care for each other. It was such a beautiful scene, man. I fucking loved it. Like I said, as I'm saying this, I'm feeling sadness, and I love it. The fact that it's been like fucking 12 hours since I watched the episode, and I'm still feeling that sadness. It's awesome. And I just love how, like, the moments in this episode where Eugene just is ready to cry are the moments where I cried the hardest, probably, because his face of trying not to cry just made me want to cry so much more. Because my favorite type of crying, or the best type of crying and the most emotionally relieving type of crying, is the type of crying where you just can't stop. And I love it because it makes me feel so good afterwards, you know? It's good to cry, honestly. It's good to cry. Not in the just in the sense of it's a cool emotion to experience, but it's healthy to show that kind of emotion. And yeah, it's good to cry because it relieves stress. And I love how in the scene afterwards, after they had the talk, Eugene goes and sits with Max, and she asks him if he's okay, and he, clearly fucking being heartbroken, says, "I'm perfectly fine." Like, it's just a little funny, and I love it. Next thing I've written down is Little Ass Kicker and Big Ass Kicker, being referenced to the scene where Daryl calls Judith Little Ass Kicker and she calls him Big Ass Kicker back. And something that I thought about afterwards was, this is what they should call the Daryl spin-off. The Walking Dead Big Ass Kicker. That would be funny. The next thing I've written down is Gabriel callback. And I actually wrote that down afterwards because I saw people pointed out in their reactions, and I felt stupid that I didn't realize it as I was watching the episode. But Gabriel going to open the door for all the civilians and poor people to escape the walkers into Pamela's estate is such a cool reference, and such a cool character moment for him, considering where he started off with not letting his churchgoers into the church back in like season 5. That was his backstory. That's what he was hiding back then. And him in his final episode letting all those people in is just such a full circle moment that I really, really like. Plus, the scene there in the words, his dialogue is so fucking badass, saying that I'm gonna let these people in and anybody who tries to stop me is gonna get killed. Like, that is so badass and I love it. Like, that officially makes Gabriel a top 10 Walking Dead character for me, honestly. I don't know if it actually will, if I sit down and do a list, because there's quite a lot of characters that I like, and I'm not 100% sure whether he will fit in the top 10 character ranking, but it's at least, like, in terms of a figure of speech kind of thing, he's very much up there. Like, he's a really good character. The next thing I've written is, I knew there was gonna be more than one F word. And that is in reference to the moment where Daryl gets the F word, where he says that Pamela tried to rebuild the old world and that was the fucking problem. I love that. I wish that was something that we actually got more of. I think I mentioned this in my previous episode reaction, but I really wish that the aspect, or like the thematic aspect of the Commonwealth was explored more in this season. I always was curious how they would do it, especially once Rick left the show and Daryl was basically the main character, because Daryl has always been the lone wolf. He's always been the outside of society kind of character, who never felt like he belonged in society. So I always thought, wondered how exactly they're gonna handle him being essentially kind of forced to like return to pre-apocalypse society, and we really didn't get much of that. And I feel like it could have been a really cool thematic clash where we explore Daryl's views about the old society and how he thinks, because of his experience in the zombie apocalypse, he thinks there could be a better way to make society, you know? So that's a little bit of a glimpse of a story or substance that we could have gotten, but we didn't. But I still really like it that he called that shit out, you know? And then we obviously got the call out for the title card of this show, with Daryl saying, "We ain't the Walking Dead." That's pretty cool. And it's also a reference to his line in season 5, when Rick says that we are the Walking Dead. He says, "We ain't them." And I love that he's pretty much still thinking that, just like he was back then. Honestly, it's kind of more fitting for Daryl to get that line than it would have been for Rick if he was still around. Because he does get that line in the comic book, but I feel like it's more fitting for Daryl. Next thing I've written is, hey, it's my boy Lance. And that is obviously in reference to Lance showing up as a walker to potentially bite Pamela, but Maggie didn't let that happen. She shot him, which I guess was one way to have her get the satisfaction of killing him after he threatened her kid, and then had Leah attack Maggie. There was also that. Next thing I've written down is that was sick, and that is in reference to the sequence with the fucking explosion, which was fucking insane. I do wish the CGI was a little more cooked, for lack of a better term, like it was more polished, because I wouldn't say it looked convincing necessarily, like it didn't look real, like it was obviously CGI. It looked like a video game cutscene. But I honestly still fucking liked it. It was so over the top. It was so insane. I really fucking liked it, man. It's up there for me with the nuke from Fear the Walking Dead, honestly. It was pretty cool. I really, really liked it. At one point, it fucking looked like the gates of hell have opened and all the walkers are getting sucked to hell. Like, that was sick. That was super fucking sick. Like, it was so over the top. It was insane. Like, that was the most over-the-top scene in The Walking Dead, I swear to God. Next thing I've written is, that note by Daryl. That is in reference to the note of appreciation and acceptance that Daryl had towards Negan, and he nodded back. I really like that because, again, it shows how far they've come from when they first met. Like, Negan threatening Daryl, killing Glenn, and now they are like comrades, for lack of a better term. Pretty cool. Oh my god, we have so many notes. Are you kidding me? My throat is starting to hurt. I've been recording this for probably like 35 minutes already. So yeah, the next thing I've written down is what else is gonna happen? Because this was, I think, around the 40-something minute mark of the episode, and there was like 15 minutes more in the episode, which is what I've written right afterwards. So I was wondering what else is going to happen in the episode, considering the plot is basically over. Like, we defeated Pamela, we killed the walkers, now what? I guess we still had to deal with Rosita's proper moments of death, but I was just wondering where exactly it's going to go, and definitely did not expect some of the things that happened, but yeah. Next thing I've written is, this reminds me of when Bob was dying, and that is in reference to the scene with everybody on the table, having their happily ever after in a way, which not only is a reminder also to the season 7 premiere when Negan said that you thought you were gonna have your happily ever after when you were all gonna be sitting around the table being happy with your family, in relation to when he killed Glenn. It's a cool reference that at the end they did end up having that dinner at the table. But in particular, it also reminded me with how Rosita was like looking around, seeing everybody be happy while she was beaten and dying. It reminded me of that scene with Bob in season 5 when he too was already beaten and dying, and everybody was being relatively happy in the church, and he was looking at them from the outside. It very much reminded me of that, and I really, really liked it. Like, the sentiment was very much the same. And I haven't written it down, so I will just talk about it for a little bit, but the actual death scene for Rosita there afterwards was, like, fucking crushing. Like, it was a circle jerk of Rosita's death, and I'm here for it. It's so wild, because it's not like Rosita is, like, my favorite character or anything. Like, I like her, but she's not a character I thought I would feel this much emotion for. And the fact that they could do this level of emotion and quality of death just makes me that much more mad that they didn't do Alden's death better. Because I actually liked Alden quite a lot. and we got the cheap fucking fake out death, which we all fucking predicted was gonna happen anyway. But yeah, that whole scene was just a circle jerk, not a circle jerk, but a tear jerker after tear jerker, with her looking once again at her child and touching her, knowing that she's not gonna see her ever again, and then Gabriel giving the prayer and even being ready to break down. Like, that was fucking emotionally heartbreaking. Then you have you also had Carol and Maggie be super sad about Rosita dying, and then at the end Eugene sitting on her deathbed and talking to her. Like, not only we also had once again his crying face, which just every time just makes me want to cry as well, because he has that face of like, oh my god, I can't stop crying, this is emotionally crushing. Like, that's the best way I can describe it, that I have whenever I can't stop crying. Like, the face where you close your eyes and like he has such a good crying face that makes me want to cry. He translates the emotion to the audience so well. And then you have Rosita saying that she's glad that he was the one of their own old group to survive. Also really hit me. And then when she finally died, and like I said, Eugene's face, like, he was ready to break down. Like, even just again talking about it makes me want to cry. Holy shit. It was a fucking brutal scene. And then we obviously had the time jump and everybody being happy and everything, and it was pretty good. And obviously he named his daughter after her, fittingly. The next thing I've written though is, that's actually Melissa and Norman talking. And that is in reference to the scene where, which is very much most likely a reshoot that they did after Melissa McBride had to step out of being in the spin-off with Daryl. And the dialogue kind of makes it feel like genuinely it is the case, because it's literally Daryl saying, I wish you could come with me. And Carol says, this will be better for you and me. Like, it's literally what they actually probably told to each other, because the reason why she stepped out of the spin-off is because it was going to be set in France, and because it's going to be better for her, the actress, to stay in the USA and not have to go to France just for the spin-off. And hell, the fact that Carol also had her short hair in that scene, which, by the way, I didn't even fucking notice until I watched reactions of it. Somehow I didn't catch that. The fact that she even had her real hair, she wasn't wearing the wig in that scene, just led even more credence that that was Melissa and Norman talking to each other. And even she said to Daryl that he is her best friend. Like, how more real could it get? Like, there was a lot of meta, this is the end of our show emotions that the actors were not only feeling but using in their performances, and that for us, the audience, that was also amplifying the experience even more. And that was one of those scenes, 100%. I really liked it. Next thing I've written is, that's Greg Nicotero. For those of you who didn't notice, the final walker that we saw in the main part of the episode was Greg Nicotero. The guy who makes the zombie makeup. The next thing I've written is, Rick? What? And yeah, I was shocked, honestly, that we actually got Rick and Michonne in the final bit of the episode. I 100% expected a post-credit scene a la what we got in World Beyond. But honestly, this was far bigger than a post-credit scene, to be honest. It was like a post-credit sequence. It was like 5 minutes or something. And I'm honestly happy that we got that. It was pretty good. And the good part is that it wasn't just like us setting up for the spin-offs. It was also kind of an emotional wrap-up, because in the scene where we have Rick and Michonne reading out letters that they have written. We get a montage of all the characters that we've lost over the years. And that works really well in the sense of like of a tearjerker moment, and reminding you of the journey that we as fans also have been on, and the experience that we've been through losing all these people. It works like an emotional wrap-up moment, not only as a setup for the spin-off. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I also really love the final line of like, "We are the ones who live." That's why I said it in the beginning of the review, because I really, really like it. And it's kind of like the opposite of The Walking Dead. Like, we are the ones who live. The ones who live, The Walking Dead. That's a pretty cool thing. I'm gonna write that down, honestly, and potentially use it as a chapter title for one of the chapters of my ongoing story, Dead Inside, which is a zombie story inspired by The Walking Dead. Because it's such a good title, like, The Ones Who Live. It's such a good thing. I love it. And the title, Dead Inside, is already like a reference to The Walking Dead, so I think it would be fitting. And yeah, I loved how they had every character say that, like, "We are the ones who live," and even Morgan showed up there. That was really, really cool. It was really nice and emotional. Next thing I've written is, "Sick outfit, Michonne," and a lot of people have already joked about how that was just the actress whose name just slipped my mind, just forgot to take her outfit from Black Panther, so they just shot her with it on, because it does look kind of reminiscent of her outfit in Black Panther, but it is a really sick new outfit and I like it. Next thing I've written down is, "Look everybody, it's Rick!" That is in reference to that scene from Season 7 where Jeffrey Dean Morgan loses his voice as he says Rick's name. Like, it's a really nice scene. It's a funny scene. And in this case, I've written it down in reference to the fact that we got like a whole scene with Andrew Lincoln, like, being Rick and running away from the CRM. Like, that was pretty fucking cool. Next thing I've written down is, Rick is running from the CRM, which is basically what the plot of the spin-off seems like it's going to be. Next thing I've written is, "This feels so surreal." And that's, at this point, things that I've written down after the episode was over, because it felt so weird that there's no more Walking Dead. I mean, Walking Dead universe, yes, but Walking Dead main show, no. The story is over, and I just don't know how I feel about it yet. It definitely makes me want to go on that journey again, if nothing else. And the final thing that I wrote down again afterwards, I was watching reactions of people, I didn't notice Carol's short hair. Yeah, I didn't. I got so used to her having the wig that I didn't notice that. And that's all my notes for the final episode of The Walking Dead. There's definitely still more things that I have to say about this episode. Not in terms of what I thought of it. I feel like right now I'm not really able to properly judge the quality of the episode because there's still so much emotion in the soup for me to be really able to separate the ingredients and decide whether it made for a good soup. But I definitely enjoyed it. And it just pisses me off that people are just not stopping with their stupid statements about this final episode. Hopefully, at least now, people are gonna stop using the dumb joke about, is this show still on? No. You fucking killed it, you asshole. It's not on. But yeah, there's just some super fucking dumb criticism about this final episode. Like, I've seen everything from, like, criticism about why not enough characters died, like why did not more characters die, from criticisms about why did Rosita die, it was cheap, Why did they have a fake out a la Glenn when she fell, even though it's not really a fake out like that? It was just a cool scene that was shocking and surprising, and it was supposed to make you feel like that, but it wasn't just like a fake out. Like, I've heard all the criticisms, and so many are just fucking dumb. Like I said, from too many characters, from not enough characters dying, to why did these specific characters die, to why did it end open-ended, which there realistically wasn't any other way for it to end. The Walking Dead was always going to end with more of a season ending rather than a series ending, because, like I said, the only closed ending that you can do for The Walking Dead is either a cure or everybody dies. And both of those wouldn't fit The Walking Dead, considering what kind of story it is. It was never about the cure, so having a cure would feel dumb, and I guess killing everybody could work, but it could also be a fucking super bleak-ass ending, which people will not shut up about being a bad ending anyway, so realistically the only way you could end it is the way it was ended. And like I said, it was pretty close-ended, because every character that we have, that they're not gonna have a spin-off, basically got a wrapped-up story for their character, with where they are right now. The only ones who didn't really get a wrap-up to their story were Negan, Maggie, and Daryl. And guess who is having spin-offs? And I guess Rick and Michonne, but those are given. And yeah, I've also seen, I think this fucking criticism probably pisses me off the most, because I'm okay with people not liking this episode, even though I personally love it. But I do not stand for bullshit like saying that this episode was just teasing for the spin-off. Like, did we even fucking watch the same episode? I swear, you fucking watched, those people fucking watched some, this version of this episode from a parallel universe or something. Because that's not at all what happened in this episode. Like, 80% of this episode was the story. Like, we got like 5 minutes. I'm not sure whether it's even 5 minutes, by the way, but let's say it's 5 minutes. Or 8 minutes or whatever. Like, it's somewhere there, in that ballpark, of Rick and Michonne teasing their spin-off. Other than that kind of slightly bigger circle jerk and teasing about the spin-offs, the other spin-offs teasing literally constitutes one fucking scene, where Maggie talks to Carol and Daryl about exploring beyond. That's what it is, literally. That's the tease for the spin-offs. If it wasn't even revealed that there would be spin-offs, you wouldn't even know it, because plenty of Walking Dead seasons have kind of ended with this kind of, we need to build a bigger world kind of vibe. So, it's fucking bullshit to say, oh, they're just teasing the spin-offs. No, they literally fucking weren't. And I was worried that they would, but they actually fucking didn't. And thank God they didn't. It honestly worked really well. And also, I'm not sure how true it is, but there's rumors about the alternative ending that they were actually originally planning to have for the series, which we even got like spoilers about a casting call that was thrown around in Georgia about basically adult versions of Judith and RJ. And supposedly the proper ending was gonna be them as grown-ups going to like some kind of a city and getting people to the Commonwealth or something. And I'm glad that they actually didn't go with that, because I don't think that would have worked as emotionally as this ending did. And I also feel like it's kind of generic. It wouldn't have been as good of a build-up or tease for the potential future as what we got, or as what we got in the Telltale's The Walking Dead, because in Telltale's The Walking Dead, for those of you who don't know, when it ended, we still got a tease about a potential group, another group, who could be hostile, could be friendly, and we got to make a choice at the end whether we wanted to try to befriend him and or try to stay away from them or something along those lines. There was a little choice there, like that. And it was a tease, a mysterious tease. In this case, I feel like having those characters just save a bunch of random nobodies wouldn't really do anything. Plus, now they actually don't have to commit to having specific no-name actress in the future if they want to do a spin-off with the Grimes kids as adults or something in the future. Because that would be cool. I would be 100% for that shit, because I'm a huge fan of legacy series or legacy stories in general. And what I mean by legacy is whenever you have the original story and then you have a new story in the future with a lot of the descendants of the original cast. For whatever reason, it's always like the coolest thing to me. Like, that's why Far Cry New Dawn, the game, is probably my favorite Far Cry game, because it's dealing with a lot of the characters and consequences of Far Cry 5. That's why the first season of Legend of Korra, Avatar, is my favorite season of any Avatar series, because it's dealing with descendants and consequences from the original, The Last Airbender Avatar series. And I would love to see something like that in The Walking Dead, but I'm glad they went with the ending that they did, honestly. And yeah, I'm gonna miss so many of these characters. Aaron, Gabriel, Lydia. So many. But I have hope that there might be something in the future that we get to see them again. If nothing else, at least as cameos. Because I assume that the ultimate end of The Walking Dead is probably gonna be in a big special or a movie or something. Once they want to wrap up the spin-offs. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of rating for this episode, like I said, I feel like I'm too emotionally charged right now to really be able to properly judge this episode. Because, like, I love it. Like, the emotions were through the roof. Emotionally, I want to give it a 10 out of 10. But looking at some of the building blocks of the episode and certain things, I don't really feel like it's quite a 10 out of 10 episode. Like, in complete fairness, I probably wouldn't want to give it a 10 out of 10. So I would rather go with a solid 9 out of 10, because I feel like that's kind of what it is. Because even though the substance in this episode is lacking, I feel like the action, the emotion is 100% there. That it kind of overshadows the fact that there isn't too much substance to the plot there. So I still think it's like pretty good. And almost honestly, I almost forgot honestly to bring up how good the music in this episode was. Like, the score was so fucking beautiful and so good and so tense, and goddamn Bear McCreary killed it in this episode. But yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think about this episode? Comment your thoughts down below and let's have a discussion about this. And also, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 6 patrons on Patreon. Omar Bridgman, Deadpool, Corby Dead, Etsap123, Soap93160, and Thea Rose Gelatly. Thank you guys for your support, I really appreciate it, it really means a lot to me. You have decided to support me, you have continued to support me in such a long time. Hope you continue to enjoy my content and continue to support me going forward. Thank you very much. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link in the description to my Wattpad, where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you don't enjoy my stories or simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi account, where you can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with someone who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!